Hi everyone, this is Heidi for Bay Fashion TV interviewing jet setter and serial entrepreneur Paul Weiss. Hi Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Heidi. Great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us
Thanks for
today.
having me.
So the reason why you're here, it's because you're such a success. But before we get into that, I had a couple of questions. I wanted you to tell us a little bit about your life before you moved here to California. How was that like?
My pleasure. I grew up and was born in Boston, Mass. I grew up in a suburb of Boston. I was a child of the 60s and 70s. I went to a big public high school there. And after I went to college, or when I went to college, I met a California girl and followed her out here. And I've been in California now for 30 years.
And once you moved here, you got into financial services.
Yes, my first job was with the Crocker Bank here in San Francisco, which later became in various ways Wells Fargo. And I was in a corporate banking training program learning how to bank and lend companies money.
In 1987, I believe, right a year before I was born.
Don't even say that. Right. Don't even say it. Yeah, for us old timers, there was a spectacular market crash in October of 1987. Mm-hmm. I had made a transition from commercial banking to investment banking, which had better compensation opportunities and was a little bit faster paced. That was more my style. My career prospects seemed extremely good the day before the market crashed, but after a serious crash, they took a little turn for the worse.
And what was that process like right after you hear, I lost my job? What do you do, right there and then?
I didn't technically lose my job. I kind of abandoned my job because the situation was so grim.
Okay.
But my almost 25-year-old daughter was about to join us. In fact, she did a month and a half later. And so I was pretty eager to find a job, one could say desperate. And so somebody at a party said to me, here's what you should try, equipment finance, which is what I do today. And obviously I did try it.
Exactly what was it that you got into? What's that job?
The business of equipment financing is very similar to real estate investing, people who own assets and rent them out to companies. It happens for Walmart in the real estate business. If you go into a Walmart store, Walmart doesn't necessarily own the building. They're probably leasing it from an investment group. Okay. If you get on an airplane today, the airline probably doesn't own the airplane. Okay. It's probably leased from an investment group, and that's what I do. I lease airplanes and rail cars and things like that. I started my own company in the equipment leasing business in 1993, and for the 15 years or 14 years after that, we grew very rapidly. So we did enjoy the success of starting and building what became quite a large company. And I sold that company, my interest in that company in 2006, and that freed me up to do some other things. So while I'm still in that equipment leasing business, I've also had a chance to get involved in a lot of other entrepreneurial situations and mentoring and things like that, some of which you know about already.
Now let's talk a little bit about style. I mean, I think the reason why you're also here is because you have a great sense of style.
Well, thank you.
And tell me a little bit about your everyday approach to fashion. How is that like? Is it are you the person that chooses what he's going to wear the day before, or just whips something up before going to work? How?
No, I don't pick outfits the day before. Most of it's on the fly unless it's a special event. What's interesting about doing business in the San Francisco area is that we have a whole range of style represented, from very formal to the typical business meeting, which might even be a t-shirt and shorts kind of meeting for somebody. Not for me.
Okay, I was going to say.
But often for someone who cares about style, it's difficult to find the balance when you're going to visit Google or you're going to the opera or somewhere in between. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but an exciting challenge to attempt to be stylish, not make anybody uncomfortable, not overdo it, not be either overdressed or underdressed for any occasion.
You've been to a couple of fashion events here in San Francisco. What's your take on that? What do you think about the San Francisco fashion scene? I mean, it's nothing like New York, of course, but...
What's very interesting about the San Francisco fashion scene, and that's been also one of my other entrepreneurial endeavors, I'm involved in an accelerator, which is a group that helps young fashion designers and young fashion tech entrepreneurs advance their businesses. Because the community in San Francisco is smaller, I know a lot of the designers personally, and I've had a chance to go to shows and also meet the designer and have a dialogue with them, and maybe a dialogue which continued after the show, where in the more famous fashion spots like New York or wherever you may go, there's no chance of meeting the designer, there's no chance of having a personal relationship.
So it is distant more.
And because we're so geared toward startups and entrepreneurship here, a lot of the fashion designers, of course, are also aspiring business people.
Yes.
And because they're aspiring business people, they actually are very much eager to have business advice. And of course, sometimes talented designers are very artistic, but don't have any practical experience
100%.
in business. And one thing about my equipment finance business, it has no artistry to it
Yes.
at all. It's very mundane, it's very business, it's very numbers oriented. So some of my experience is complementary to the skill sets. It's been very fun to be involved with some designers and help with their business a little bit.
Now, actually, back to what you were saying, you're leasing equipment, just, planes and cars. My question is, how much an asset do you actually manage?
Well, I've done approximately $4 billion of equipment transactions in my career. A lot of those have been owned for a period of time and then later they go. So the number changes all the time depending on what our current activity is. Right now it's under 100 million of equipment that we own, but we have great aspirations to add more again. It's just a matter of picking things that make sense.
How much pressure is that? I mean, $4 billion in equipment and asset management is just over the top. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone managing that much asset. It's definitely a lot of pressure, isn't it?
It's a misleading number from the perspective that most equipment that we do is really big stuff, so the numbers will get big fast. All of the pressure, for those of us who are self-made people, if that's the right way to say it, all of the pressure is internally generated. So, we're all expecting great things of ourselves and more and more and more. So I think the pressure that I get internally far exceeds anything my partners could apply.
Really? Oh, wow. And I mean, with doing all that, definitely your life has changed a lot. I mean, I'm guessing it's not the way you used to live before when, you first came to California. How was that like really moving for that lifestyle and then as of today where you can pretty much afford anything you want?
I think what's very nice as you've had some business success, particularly having raised a family and have an empty nest now, it's nice that all the important things are behind and successfully paid for. That takes pressure off because there's all the different things that a family hopes to have that are busy being gathered and delivered and all that. So from there, I grew up in an upper middle class upbringing. I don't remember having anything extra. I don't remember needing anything. There was always food on the table. But money was a factor and consideration in the house. And it's been very nice to have some success and not worry about small amounts of money.
All right, Paul, so I know with all the work that you do, you probably had to travel a lot.
I do.
Tell us a little bit about that. Where do you usually travel and what's your favorite city?
Well, I've owned a business in Manhattan. So for 15 or 20 years, I was there every month, which was great fun. It's one of my favorite cities. I also own a business in Tokyo. So I've had a chance, having never been to Tokyo until recent years, I've had a chance to travel to Tokyo very frequently, and that's been eye-opening, surprising, wonderful, foreign place to visit. Both are certainly favorites, and I haven't been to Tokyo in a little while. I'd love to get back soon.
You'd like to get back? Yeah. So Tokyo would be your favorite city?
I'd say Manhattan would be my favorite city. Outside of San Francisco, we're extremely blessed here.
American to the core.
Right, but New York, terrific surprise, and of course, you're from France. Everybody in America would love to be back there.
Well, you're always welcome.
Absolutely, thank you.
Visit. I'd like to move in what I usually call my quick fire questions, and that's going to be 1 minute where I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and not actually give you the time to think about the answer. That's going to be pretty fun.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out. So tell me 3 things that you cannot leave the house without.
Well, they're very boring. The smartphone for sure, but I have a lot of battery-related stress. So I usually have an extra power pack that I bring. I have reading glasses that I must have because I think they make me look intelligent.
Oh, no.
So I don't actually need them, but it's always reading glasses. So I think that's 3. Smartphone, extra battery, reading glasses just to look smart, and there you go. There's my 3.
3 things. So now when it comes to fashion, let's talk Armani or Gucci?
I would say Armani. That's a very tough one. Gucci's a little high end for me one day.
Right? Why do I not believe you? Favorite actress?
Favorite actress, that's very, very difficult. I don't have an answer for that. There's so many great actresses. Meryl Streep certainly comes up because of her unbelievably prolific career, including the new movie, which is supposed to be fantastic, with Tommy Lee Jones. So it would have to be on anybody's short list.
All right, Ferrari or Maserati cars?
I think I'm a Maserati guy, but I wouldn't turn down a Ferrari. It's fantastic, but Maserati I think is slightly more my style.
What about your favorite cocktail?
Favorite cocktail is definitely a martini. Tito's vodka, dirty olives served up.
And what's your favorite color?
Favorite color is probably blue, deep blue. I think blue in attire never offends anybody. I'm talking about it like a navy blue kind of thing. A classic guy's look, which it's interesting that a lot of 20 and 30-something men haven't adopted a look that a lot of us are used to. Throw on a blue blazer. over almost anything, and you go from not so dressy to appropriately dressed for almost everything in the Bay Area.
And what's your favorite food? Anything you had to choose?
I'm a very strong pizza lover. It's very unfortunate.
Pizza?
Pizza, yeah.
Not really healthy.
No, I didn't say healthy. No, that's part of the issue is trying to take care of yourself properly. But yeah, I've never turned down a pizza anywhere in the world.
What about going out or staying in with a movie? What would you choose as of now?
I had a feeling you might ask this question. It's really both. It's not a fair question because alternating the two is much more my style. And once I've done one the night before, I prefer the other the night after. Last night I was in watching Olympics. Tonight we're going out.
Going out. Nice, nice. My last question would be, what is there after success? You're such a successful person that as of today, what's your next step, or what is there?
I was afraid as you asked the question, the answer might well be death. Because I think one of the problems is when you're wired for business and you're enjoying business and having some success in different parts of business, it's very difficult to stop. It's like a drug. But in a productive way, because things are getting done and things are moving forward, it's not about money for a lot of people who may be called successful, much more about the thrill of creating and building. And that's part of the mentoring process. It's so much fun to assist people a little tiny way in having them achieve their dreams. And their dreams are usually not about making money. They're usually about building something. The money is a benefit that sometimes follows. That's very exciting, and I would always want to do some of that. So I think what's next is right now.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Paul, today. It was a pleasure having you on set.
Thanks for having me, Heidi. It's great fun.
Thank you, everyone, and stay tuned for our next issue, the Jet Setter issue.